setup here. This is for day 15. The theme for today is Mecca Mayhem. So every year they do some kind of robotic type theme, for machines. And this year my mind just immediately went to Ultron for some reason. Probably a year or two back, whenever we got this Civil Warrior figure right here, I thought about the Iron Skull that they had released a while back right here. And I thought about those two fighting each other. And then I initially had the thought of Ultron kind of like just watching them fight. In like Ultron's world, everything is metal, right? Like the human race is gone and now it's only metal things. But like, what would Ultron do for his entertainment? So my mind immediately went, okay, Civil Warrior versus Iron Skull fighting, and Ultron's just kind of watching, just, being entertained. So that's where my mind went. And I knew the setup, but I didn't know exactly how they would be fighting each other. And luckily I found this really cool cutout. And it was initially of Iron Man shooting his unibeam at somebody. And we've seen this in ACBA before, where people use like different effects and stuff to utilize his unibeam and hit the beam directed at someone else. So I thought to myself, oh, it'd be perfect for his shield, because his shield's got this gigantic arc reactor on it, and obviously it's used to shoot blasts. So I thought to myself, oh, this could work just perfectly. Then I cut it out, and then I really had to spend some time trying to figure out how I was going to attach the cutout to these figures. And I initially went to the Iron Skull because that's where the larger portion of the cutout is. So I attached it in a couple areas. I think underneath his arm there's like some tack, and then on his thigh some tack. And when I attached it to the Iron Skull, I was like, alright, now I gotta attach it to the shield somehow. But I also had to make sure that when I cut it to the form of the shield. So if you really look closely at the shield where the blast is originating from, you can see it's kind of got like some bends in it so that it fits that shield almost perfectly. I mean, there's little gaps here and there, but I think for the most part it's fitting like beautifully, man. And luckily, I only had to attach it to the Iron Skull figure. I didn't actually have to attach it to the shield. It's kind of just sitting right on top of the shield there, so it worked out really nicely. I've got a blue light right in front. You definitely want some kind of light or something that's angled at the blast to really give that effect of, oh, it's a blue blast. And then I actually had to put another light over here to the right of some blue to hit that cutout that's underneath his arm a little bit there. And then when you're doing shots like these, you also have to kind of be careful, because you don't really want the shot to be too blue. So I've kind of used some bracketing on my camera to make it, even though it's set on the cool setting, it's letting in some warmth in there too. Now, obviously the shot looks very cool, but it would have looked a hell of a lot cooler. I'm talking about the tone, like coolness. So luckily that kind of balanced it out a little bit. In the past, some of my shots have just looked really too blue, and I hate that now. So I kind of like a good balance. But when I directed this blue light at the cutout, it worked perfectly, man. It really hit it just right in all the right areas. And, I really lowered all my camera settings to get a nice blur on everything in the background. And I think this one came out really cool. I had my doubts in the beginning, honestly. Just trying to position everything, and it just wasn't really working out. But, I just kind of sat around, played with it, and tweaked it, and changed some stuff up, and I think it's at where I really want it to be now. So I'm very happy with how this came out. So let's check it out. Alright, we are on day 17. The theme for today is Battle of the Gods. And I'm doing a Dr. Manhattan shot. That's where my mind went immediately when thinking of godlike superheroes. And then, of course, he'd be facing off against Superman. This is probably the prelude to them actually fighting. If you guys ever read the run Doomsday Clock, you know that these two actually did face off against each other, kind of. It's been a while since I read that run, but it was really cool. I think we ended up finding out that Dr. Manhattan created the New 52 universe in that, and it was really cool seeing these guys kind of face off. There wasn't really too much to it in the comic, but These figures are similar enough in height that I think it kind of works out. I had a more elaborate setup, but I ended up just doing something kind of simple. Obviously the framing's going to be kind of like this, and actually I'm going to cut a little bit off the top and the bottom. I got the Superman far enough away that he kind of blends in with the background and all that stuff on the ground back there. Working with really low f-stops and kind of a low shutter, very low ISO to get that really nice blur on everything in the back, but the Dr. Manhattan and the cutout will be super in focus. The cutout is from the final issue of Doomsday Clock. I think it says Hello Superman. Well, I know it says Hello Superman, but I believe the cutout's from the last issue. And yeah, man, just kind of taking it simple right now. The next couple shots I have planned are going to be insane, dude. At least I think they're going to be insane. I guess we'll see how they're received, but I know the next shot for day 18 is going to be nuts, dude. I've got a lot planned for that, even though it seems kind of simple in theory, but I guess you guys will see that here shortly. But yeah, this ended up looking pretty cool. I got a lot of lights pointed at Dr. Manhattan. Unfortunately, this light to the left right here went out already. But yeah, all blue lights kind of give that glow to Dr. Manhattan. And then when you really lower all your camera settings, that glow just, it creates this really interesting outline on a figure. So there's like this blue outline that follows the whole figure, and it kind of looks like that, you know, blueness that Dr. Manhattan in the movie, the Watchmen movie, has. So I think it's pretty cool. Simple shot, not really much to it. I'm sure some people for this theme are going to go all out, but I was taking it a little easy here. But yeah, let's check it out. Alright guys, we are on day 18. The theme for today is all hands on deck. This is a special theme for me because this is actually my theme. Being a moderator for ACBA, we each kind of get to pick at least one theme, and this is the theme I submitted. So I kind of wanted to go all out. I know it doesn't seem like it's that crazy of a shot, it's just a bunch of figures kind of vanilla posed in front of Nick Fury here. The idea behind this, there's actually a comic source. I'll show that to you guys real quick. I'm not sure what comic it's from, but basically it's just an idea I had where it's just throwing a bunch of Marvel characters in. I thought it would look cool, and then the caption will be something along the lines of, with Nick Fury saying, alright guys, here's the plan. Who knows what the plan is or why they're all assembling like this, but just a bunch of different characters, X-Men, Avengers, other affiliations and teams and stuff like that. I just thought it would look cool. So, you know, it may not look like it was that hard, but it took me a few hours actually to pose all these guys and layer them all in here and make sure they're all looking at Nick Fury. That was probably the most tedious part. Had to just really make sure that they're all looking directly at him, and at the same time I wanted to make sure that you could see every single person here clearly for the most part. Now if I lean the camera back a little bit, you will see there's even more characters back here. But basically I wanted to give that feel like there was way more people here than what I'm actually showing. So if I showed a little bit too much of the characters in the back, you'd see the wall back there, and then you know, kind of see that, hey, they do end right there. But I really wanted to get that feeling of, oh man, there's like everybody right here. So there is a good amount of people being cut off at the top here, which is kind of a shame, but I think overall it helps the aesthetic of the photo itself. So yeah, it was a fun theme, very, very difficult to shoot from this angle, to get the lighting correct, to play with the focus. Initially I tried doing a higher focus and getting pretty much everybody in focus, but you know, when you do that you tend to lose some quality. So I ended up making my focus Nick Fury here, and as you look further on the characters, they become more and more out of focus. And it gives off this really cool effect. But as long as Nick and all the people in the front are pretty much in focus, I'm happy with it. So overall, very fun theme. It was very difficult to shoot. It was very difficult to set up, but overall I think it came out really cool, and I think the colors are popping here. I think it's just awesome. It's also like 2 in the morning. I've been setting this up like all day, so kind of tired, but very cool shot, dude. Alright, we're on day 19. The theme for today is Japan does it best. I got the brand new Japanese Spider-Man, or Spider-Man, or Spider-Man, however you say it. Whenever I hear it, I just want to do a Japanese accent, so hopefully that's not racist. But yeah, man, the figure's pretty dope. I really do like it, and I think the character's just hilarious. I looked through a lot of reference shots for what he looks like in the old, what was it, 70s show, or maybe it was 80s show, I can't remember exactly, but yeah, he's pretty funny, man. He cracks me up, some of the poses he does. So I wanted to do something kind of funny, but also true to his character, so I put him in this pose. And then I used the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man in the back going like, damn, nice costume. And then we have Spider UK like all mad at him because he has a better costume. I don't really know. Hopefully it translates. I thought it was kind of funny. But yeah, I kind of had a hard time with this shot because this Spider-Man figure just kept falling over. The way I have him posed, it's nothing to do with the figure, it's mainly me. I really wanted his legs spread wide open. He is very posable, this Spider-Man figure, but he's not like super posable. He's not like posable like the Renew Your Vows version, so he doesn't have like the cut in the articulation at the boots, which I think would have helped with the pose a little bit more. But overall, I think it's still a pretty good figure. But yeah, Japan does it best. This is the idea I had for this theme. I originally was going to use Superman, Sentry, and then I was going to have All Might pretty much in this exact same pose, but I got this Spider-Man figure in and it just made sense to me. I wanted to get a lot of, a lot of bright colors in this, so I went with the grass and I went with the blue sky background. Those are just clouds painted on. I wanted it to look very cartoony, so that's kind of why that looks like it. Because, anime and Japanese style, it's very vibrant, so I kind of wanted to replicate that a little bit. But overall, yeah, this came out pretty good. Let's check it out. Alright, we're on day 20. The theme for today is silence and secrecy. I went with Winter Soldier for this shot. I actually used a total of 4 different cutouts for this. As you can see, we only see one here. This is actually the last panel. I went with 4 panels. Initially, I was just going to do one shot using all 4 cutouts, but I thought of using the hallway diorama that I have. It's actually 2 dioramas, but it makes like this super long hallway, so you can actually see behind him and everything. It's a pretty dope diorama, I'm not gonna lie. But I ended up doing panels. The first 3 panels, we'll see them here in a second, but first 3 panels are basically of all these SWAT guys just getting their asses beat and shot and blown up. I had some blood effects that I was going to use, but I ended up just not doing anything revolving around blood. I ended up just using these yellow like blast effects and put them on the SWAT officers. Sometimes I like to do the blood, but other times, it doesn't always have to be bloody and gory for you to tell the story. So I just went ahead and just did something that was a little bit more PG-13. I mean, they're still getting murdered, so there's just no blood in it. But yeah, it was a little complicated. I had to kind of set up the sequence of one getting shot, and then the second panel was another getting shot, and then the third panel was the third one getting shot, but I also had to keep an eye on how they would fall in the hallway and where their positioning would be and all that stuff. Obviously, this guy's not even leaned up against the wall here, but for the last panel, I actually had to move him in a little bit because I wanted him in frame. So we'll see how this is all paneled up. But yeah, this is a very fun little shot. Silence and secrecy. I mean, Winter Soldier, I mean, he's like what? He's got to be the best assassin in the Marvel Universe. Next to what, like Elektra or something, or maybe Bullseye. I've always been a super big Bucky fan, so... and I kind of modded this figure a little bit too. As you can see, he doesn't have that brown, like, chest strap thing he has on. I actually used some nail polish remover and got rid of his US insignia on his metal arm as well. I wanted to go with Ed Brubaker's run in 2005 for Captain America and Winter Soldier. I really wanted to get a, like, initial Winter Soldier when he was still, like, an assassin. So that's kind of why I went with this figure, this kit bash, so I think it ended up looking pretty cool. There's also a second part of the diorama with more SWAT guys on the ground. You can barely make them out, but they are there and they are dead. So yeah, fun little shot, Silence and Secrecy. Let's check it out. Alright, we're on day 21 now. The theme for today is 110%, and I gotta tell you, man, I really gave this fucking shot 110% of what I had. This is probably the hardest shot I've taken so far, just because this figure keeps falling over, the angle, and not trying to get reflections on this very shiny Iron Man. As you can see, if you look at him, there's tons of reflections, but I was getting a majority of the reflections on his face right here, more specifically his gold faceplate, and I just couldn't stand him, man. So I rearranged my lights, and I rearranged them and rearranged them the best I could so that there was no glares anywhere on his faceplate, and I managed to do that somehow. I don't even know how, but there is still quite a few glares. This is a pretty interesting technique that I've never used before. It's actually just laying a piece of paper flat on the ground, and then you just use a very low f-stop so that you just have the face in focus, and it pretty much puts everything else out of focus in the picture. So you get this really nice blur on the background even though it's so close to it. So I really like this effect. I got this effect from my buddy in ACBA, Patrick Ong. Yeah, this worked out pretty good. Like I said, it was very tedious and a very long process, and the posing was hard, and I had to get a light. There's actually a light underneath here that's illuminating the pillow stuffing right there, and I'm hoping that kind of gives off the effect like he's breaking the speed of sound. So yeah, 110%, very difficult shot, and yeah, man, let's check it out, I guess. Alright, we're on day 22. Today's theme is Got You Covered. Sorry, this is kind of like a mess right now. I actually started taking this setup down, then I realized, oh shit, I was gonna make a video about it, or kind of do an overview of this shot real quick. So most of it's still intact. There's still some lights missing on the top portion here, but you're probably like wondering what you're looking at. You're like, what the hell is this? Basically, the theme's Got You Covered, so every year they do some kind of cover type of theme that's oriented towards comic book covers, or I mean, you can really interpret it however you want, but usually what I do is I go after a comic book cover. So this is from Ant-Man #3 from Nick Spencer. It's one of my favorite Ant-Man runs, and it's just a really cool book. This is a really nice cover with Taskmaster on the front of it when he fights Taskmaster, and if you guys have followed my videos for a little bit, you guys know I love Taskmaster. I think he's like such a great villain, even though they ruined him forever in the Black Widow movie, and I'm still upset about it, and I hate Marvel for that. But other than that, I think this is a pretty cool cover. I'm actually pointing down towards the floor. There's actually a piece of glass on the floor here, if you guys can kind of tell. There's my carpet. And then I put an orange poster board underneath that, and we're working with this Ant-Man figure. Now, this is a really hard one to position because on the actual cover, it's Ant-Man almost in this exact same pose, but he's actually like kind of floating over onto Taskmaster's glove. Now, since I've already kind of messed this setup anyways, might as well just show you guys. So I kind of blacked out the initial Ant-Man that's on the cover here, and then he had the rest of the of his body covering this other part, but this is an actual cutout, so it's pretty cool. So yeah, you can see the Ant-Man right here, and I kind of just placed him right on top right there. It's not really lined up that well right here, but in the actual shot it is, so I think I did a pretty good job. So yeah, this has Got You Covered. This is a very difficult shot. I spent a good amount of time making the cutout and putting it on the ground and everything. I hate working with this angle pointing down. It's just like, it's so hard to line everything up. So, but anyways, it was a interesting shot, and I think I got the shot, so I'm happy with it. So let's check it out.